Hey, we're not to turn that off. Hello, everybody. Let me get my shit straight here. Okay. All right. So let me know if everybody can hear me or not, because I can never test my sound and stuff like that. So let me know if you're having trouble hearing me. Sorry, I was just chugging a mug root beer. So like I said, if you guys can hear me, let me know. Hello, you guys can. Fabulous. Okay, so if you guys have never joined me on a free Q&A, what I do is talk about pretty much anything. So whatever kind of happens or whatever questions you guys have to ask, I usually get the opportunity to talk to you guys about this. I do this about once a month. This is getting to be a little bit more requested, so I'm trying to do it maybe often more than once a month. I think this month I have it actually twice. So I will be also offering more free workshops as well via these Q&As too, so or these type of platforms on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to me on YouTube, make sure that you do, because like I said, I'm going to be starting to do more workshops for free to kind of help educate everybody so we can all kind of get enlightened quicker, right? So what I wanted to kind of do is just kind of recap on July and talk about August. So July was absolutely batshit crazy. Many of you realize there goes my husband, how crazy this energy really was. So I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about July. It has passed. We have another huge shift coming August 11th. We've got, I think, 3 planets like go direct that day. So August 11th, there's going to be another shift of energy that's coming around. And so that happened here in July. There's been a lot of relationships ending, a lot of changes, a lot of deaths, unfortunately, but a lot of major changes. And, you know, sometimes Spirit needs to kind of kick our butt to get us focused in a different direction and really making us reestablish what's most important in our lives. So August is all about balancing, centering, and trying to get your crap straight, trying to get rebalanced in this new sort of skin that you got grown into now since last July. So that's kind of what this one's all about here. So energy is definitely getting easier, thank goodness. So, but all in all, things are going pretty good. So you might hear my dog bark or my cat or who knows, I don't know, my 2 kids, they're here too. So, so anyway, I just want to talk to you guys just a little bit about that. Other than that, pretty much that's it. So like I said, I'm going to start getting rolling with stuff. The one thing I do want to mention is that I am, it's now open enrollment for Enlightenment Academy. So what Enlightenment Academy is me literally taking you step by step through this awakening journey, starting with chakras, all the clairs, really how to understand how to turn things on, turn things off, you know, what clairvoyance is and how it really works. We go through meditation and really get into meditation so you can really figure out how to get into that. And then also how to tap in and out with your spirit guides and really how to start communicating with them at a way different level. So if anybody's really interested in the Enlightenment Academy, it's in enlightenment-academy.com. Check it out. It's open enrollment. I only take 24 students, and I have a lot of extra people that are there to help, my team leaders. So like I said, look into that. I'll mention it again here later. So we're going to get started on some questions. Hey, let's see here. I've had a few odd encounters with hawks while running. Are animals used to send messages ever? Yes, absolutely. So we have spirit guides, but we also have animal spirit guides as well. On average, we have 1 animal, 1 insect, and 1 mammal to represent us in that spiritual realm. So hawks, 9 times out of 10, they're either sent to us by our loved ones or they are the messengers. So they're here just to kind of keep your chin up, so to speak, especially if you're having an off day. So, but the more enlightened you become, the more that you're going to notice not only small animals, but children as well. So you're going to start to notice a lot more different, unique things, because animals will go to people who are enlightened. They're scared to death of unenlightened people. So if you're going through an awakening, which many of you are, that's why you're joining me here on the live Q&A, that you're going to start noticing that animals are just going to start acting a lot more differently. So Somebody was asking, why are we having all these mass shootings? You know, unfortunately, it's all about change. So, you know, sometimes in order for things to get better, they kind of have to get worse. And just understand right now, you're either enlightened or you're unenlightened. And if you're unenlightened, you are all about division, hate, segregating, separating, and all of that. And if you're enlightened, it's not about that. It's all encompassing. And so just understand that I think that things are going to get a little bit worse before they get better. July was all about batshit crazy energy. And that energy is very unstable, and that's going to continue all the way until the end of August, guys. So, do I think that we're going to see more of this stuff? Yeah, I do, unfortunately. But either you're enlightened, like I said, or you're not. And I think that, you know, at the end of the day, we really have to look at the healthcare, the mental health care system, because it's a broken system at this point. So is the governmental system, so is healthcare, so is the, you know, school system. There's a lot of broken systems out there now that no longer work for the enlightened people like us. So we're going to have to change some things, but sometimes in order for things to change, they have to get worse, unfortunately. But I always tell people, especially my empaths, don't be standing there watching all that TV. Don't be watching that stuff day in and day out. All it's going to do for my empaths is really hurt your feelings, and you're going to dwell in that negativity. So instead, do the opposite. Pray for those people. Send a bunch of love and light and healing energy, and do what you can in your own community to help better it. And if that means that, you know, you smile and tell the chick at the Walmart checkout line that she's looking pretty good, even though she's having a bad day, then you just did a job, right? Then you just helped with that ripple effect, with that positivity. So, can you wear too many stones at one time? Nope, you cannot. So I will tell you, this one right here is a piece of rhodonite, and I actually brought, my husband's cool, right? So he brought all these things, and we sell these at Awakenings, and I can actually, let me see here, I think I can actually send a link if I'm smart enough, copy. So what I'll do is I'll paste this up here. And if you guys want to, you can check them out online. They range anywhere from $19, $25. I'll tell you what, these things are great. They don't, I don't like necklaces that are really tight because I feel choked out, but these things are awesome. So look into them. They're called Solku. So they're really light, but you know, I can wear this rhodonite, and then I can have a piece of rose quartz and a piece of black tourmaline and some citrine earrings, and it would not, there isn't anything vibrationally speaking that would be any different. So no, you can wear, you can mix and match. So just go, what I always tell people is don't read the information about the crystals. Just look at the crystal. Be like a kid. Be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool looking. Well, then you can read the information about it and find out that that's most than likely the exact crystal that you need. So I will be doing some Q&As when it comes to crystal, like 101 stuff. So keep your eyes peeled. I would like to do that within the next month or so. Eric and I are heading down to Denver, Colorado to go to the Gem and Mineral Show. We go there every year at the beginning of September. So we'll be bringing back a bunch of goodies too. I will be doing a Q&A to, you know, show you some of the goodies that we got and let you guys know. And then we're working on how you can purchase them online. So we're figuring all that out. All right, my 7-year-old says he felt my deceased mother brush up against his arm. What can I do to help hone his connection? You don't have to help him at all. He's, and I'll tell you what, because if they already are at 7 years old telling you this is going on, then that means to tell me that they're already enlightened and intuitive, and their job is to teach you spirituality. Your job is to teach them reality. So you won't have to worry about honing in on those. They're already honed in, and most than likely they'll keep those abilities throughout their lifetime. So, but it does make it a little bit more hard for somebody who's really enlightened to be in our society nowadays. So your job is to teach them about reality and just be that open person that he or she can go to communicate about that spiritual stuff. I was very lucky. I had a dad that I could go to and talk to. He just happened to be deaf. So every time I talked to him, he was like, that's nice. Like, he never heard me. But it was still somebody an outlet that I could talk to. So it was very positive. All right. Okay, hang on, my dog. So, come here. You want Douglas? Come here. I'll get you some Douglas. Come here. You want to say hi to everybody? Sorry, my dog. So he is my dog. So this is Templeton. So Templeton can say hi to everybody. Say hi. So he's just a snuggle buddy, and he doesn't like to be without me. So we're going to have to do this with him. All right. Yeah, we are. Okay. All right. It says, My 5-year-old's having headaches, extremely in tune, anything to help her. Oh, okay, so, and she collects feathers and rocks and nature stuff, which is totally normal for an intuitive kid. I'm gonna tell you what, get them outside as much as possible. So the more outside time we get, the less headaches we have, and we're able to kind of balance out. Remember, this energy here lately literally is opening up the throat, the third eye, and the crown. You want to make sure to balance. So make sure that you're opening up your sacral, make sure that you're opening up your, the solar plexus, and then your root chakra especially. So any black or red rocks are going to be awesome. So we can wear them as bracelets, earrings, doesn't matter. I highly recommend this for kids going into school. Let them have a black or a red rock. Let them have that. And I'll tell you, they won't throw it. They won't mess around with it in class because they know they'll get it taken away. So they'll usually leave it in their backpack or their pocket. So whatever works for them, okay? So, but black rocks, red rocks, especially for us ADHD ones, yeah, that's the way to go. All right. La 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 la. I've been contemplating something for the last couple of days, but I can't figure out if the feeling is I get as my intuition or my fear. How can I tell the difference? That's a great question, Joni. Okay, so here's the difference between intuition and fear. Intuition is faster, your logic can comprehend. So if it goes up, curious, interesting, and it gets you a little scared, a little nervous, that's a yes. If it hits you like, meh, that's a plan B, or the timing about it's not right. And if you have to cross your arms in front of your chest and go, well, that's a hell no, okay? So because you're covering yourself up because it doesn't feel right and trying to logically reason why it doesn't feel right. So again, if it goes up, curious, interesting, you get a little nervously scared, that's a yes. And then your logical brain pops in and goes, now, wait a second. And then here comes that fear-based response. So intuition is always faster than your logic can even comprehend. That's when you first communicate with spirit, a lot of times you can ask questions in your head and you're already getting an answer before you even finish the question in your head. That's spirit-led stuff, okay? So spirit-led stuff is always faster than you can possibly comprehend. So, and it feels like it's your imagination. Your imagination is your intuition. There is no difference. None. No difference at all. So imagination is intuition. No different. I recently had a gender surprise baby, but every time I held the pendulum over my belly, it showed a girl. Sure enough, we had a girl. First of all, congratulations, Caitlin. That's awesome. But pendulums really do work. So that's back old pagan stuff where they used to hold a pendulum above the mom's belly to determine if it's a boy or a girl. So I highly recommend everybody, at least starting out, if you're curious on divination tools, a pendulum is an easy way to start. So all you're going to do is just hold it and you're going to program it first. And you're going to say, okay, God, angels, please show me a sign for a yes. And then it's going to move a certain direction. And then you're going to sit there and say, okay, show me a sign for a no. And then it's going to move a certain direction. And the way to hold it, I'm going to put you down. Okay. So the way to hold it is you hold it kind of right about your heart chakra and you just hold it like this and it's going to move. It will move. And then lastly, you say, show me a sign for an I don't know. And then it's going to move in another direction. Now, once it's programmed, it's programmed. You don't have to worry about reprogramming it again if you get another one. It doesn't matter. So at that point, then you can ask questions about yourself and yourself only. You can't ask questions of, oh, does he love me? Because it'll give you a false read. So that's why I'm like going, I love pendulums, especially to first start out, but this is totally awesome. So I love them and congratulations. I have a lot of little kids at home and I don't get to meditate until they're in bed. And by then I'm falling asleep. Will I benefit from it if I fall asleep while meditating? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because falling asleep is still, there's delta, alpha, beta, theta waves, right, in your brain. So when you're meditating, you go into a certain frequency, but when you fall asleep, you go a little bit deeper. There is nothing wrong with that. Not at all, especially if you're first starting. That's why I tell people, get meditation in wherever you can. If that means that you got a house full of kids and you got to go sit in the car for 5 minutes to meditate, do what you got to do. So, because like I said, I totally get it. By the way, my head is really, really itchy, and it has been for the last couple of days. That's all of our crown chakras opening. So everybody's top of the heads are really itchy, and they're all going to get headaches right there, right here, and behind that right eye. And that's all due to that crown and third eye chakra stuff opening. So ground, like I said, go outside and ground, which is I'm going to do that after I get done with this. How do I know if my mom is still around? The longer she's been gone, the less I feel connected. How can I connect with her the best? Okay, Jennifer, number one, I want you to learn how to meditate. Number two, ask. Ask and you shall receive. I think so many people forget to ask their family for a sign. So, I mean, for instance, my dad's been gone for 20 years. Just the other day, I'm like, hey, Pops, I'm having a bad day. Could really use a sign. So I went to go sit in my car, turn on the radio, and the letters across on the radio said, I love you, Dad. And I was like, cool, thanks, Pops. So I didn't second guess it and been like, oh, it's coincidence. The second I saw it, I knew it was a sign. I acknowledged it, and there you go. So the more you acknowledge that you see those signs, the more it's going to open up that communication between you and your loved ones. So number one, ask. Number two, the second you see it, don't question it. It's not like, oh, I think that reminds me so much of my mom. That smells like my mom. That looks like my mom. That is a sign. Those are point blank signs. So I always tell people, you try to be invisible and let your loved one on the other side know that you're around without affecting their free will, because that's a big no-no. So that's really difficult to do. So, and understand heaven is not some far off place. It's quite literally about the size of your auric field. So it's about 3 foot away from you. You got to remember, this stuff is quantum fields here. This isn't linear like we'd like to think it's some far off place. It's not. It's really, really not. So, does everyone have a soulmate in each life, or can your purpose be not to have somebody? You know, Joni, that's a really good question. And it honestly depends on your life purpose and the lessons that you need to learn in this life, whether that's karmic from previous lives, or it's something that you chose to learn in this life. So it honestly depends. Everybody comes into this world with something that they need to learn, whether that's they got to master the abandonment issue or they got to master the grief issue, but understand that, or even unconditional love. I mean, so everybody has some sort of issue coming into this world, and if that's part of your issue, then it's going to show up. So yeah, that's quite possible. I'm trying to, these are all going fast. Okay. How do you bring your aura closer to yourself? Good question, Taylor. Believe it or not, you imagine it. That's it. So remember how I said your imagination is your intuition. So if you imagine your crown chakra opening, it will open. If you imagine your auric field coming closer to you to protect you when you go shopping at Walmart, that will happen too. So your job is to, like I said, just imagine, and it takes seconds. So just imagine your auric field coming closer to you. Imagine some of these shutting down a little bit. And what I mean by shutting down is I imagine what looks like a flower. So I imagine, like, if this is my third eye chakra, I imagine the flower closing a little bit, okay? I don't shut it all the way, but I just close it up a little bit. So when I'm doing readings, my throat, my third eye, my crown are way open, but my heart, I really try to stay shut. And the reason why is because I don't want to over empathize with my client. So if my client starts crying, I don't want to cry with them because I've got a job to do. I need to relay a message. So just understand that all I do is just simply imagine it closing up a little bit. All right. So just use your imagination. That's what's going to work for you. Let's see here. Understand, guys, I'm not doing personal readings. So if you ask me, you know, does my mom have a message or something like that, I'm not doing that. This is just for Q&A for anything metaphysical, spiritual, anything like that. Crystal grids. Ooh, I've got crystal grids. Recently, some of our enhancements like feathers have moved on their own off the grid. Should we leave them or put them back like they were? Kevin, that's a really good question. And I'm going to tell you, I want you to leave them. If they move, leave them be. So that's why I'm like, sometimes you got to remember the energy that's coming off of a crystal grid actually is pretty powerful. It's pretty potent. So a lot of times that energy, with those energy shifts with grids, they can move things off the board. And I'm like, well, that's okay. I wouldn't touch it. Just leave it be. So after about 7-10 days, you can remove your crystal grid, cleanse, charge your crystals, put them back on. And what a crystal grid is it's a grid that's fairly round in nature, and it usually has some sort of spiritual symbolism, like the flower of life. And then you're going to put crystals on this grid with an intention. So your intent is to make more money. Your intent is to find your love life. Your intent, whatever intent it is. So, and then you set the stones on there, you set an intent, and then you walk away. And what that does is amplifies, basically put a prayer. So you're asking God to help you out with something. You set a crystal grid, it's putting a little sauce on it. All right, so crystal grids are awesome. I always forget to use them if I need them, but anymore I'm pretty good about manifesting. So, but to start out, I love crystal grids. I really do. They're awesome. Good question. Ashley is asking, is reincarnation a choice? And if so, do I get a choice what I come back as? Yes and yes. Remember, when you die, you still have free will too. So that is the one universal law. There's actually 12 universal laws, but the universal law is nobody can affect your free will. So meaning that if you choose to reincarnate, you can, but I'm going to tell you what, remember, you don't be so closed-minded and think that we're just going to come back to Earth. There's a lot of different galaxies out there. So we may not incarnate. And I'm going to tell you, incarnating into Earth is extremely difficult because we have so much diversity and so much negativity and polarity and all this other stuff that it's really difficult. I mean, you have to be one tough soul to choose to come to Earth. Really, really, because it's that hard. Most other Earths and different galaxies are not nearly as diverse as what this one is. But I'm going to tell you, if you go through a spiritual awakening, you won't have any more karmic debt. You don't have to come around again. You've learned. That's the point, is that you go through a spiritual awakening, you figure out what your life purpose is, you do your life purpose, then you die. So, but of course, we learn lessons along the way, all that good stuff, of course. But understand, generally speaking, you want to go through a spiritual awakening so that way, if something happens to you, karmically speaking, you're kind of your debt's kind of paid in full. So if that makes any sense. How do you know what lessons you need to learn in your life? I will tell you, because they'll piss you off or they hurt. So if anything, if it doesn't make you happy, then there's a lesson within it. So everything that pisses you off is a mere reflection. It's not the other person that pisses you off. It's a reflection of yourself in that, if that makes any sense. So that's why I'm like going, pay attention to how like they make you feel. Like I said, if it's aggravating, frustrating, pisses you off, what makes you sad, there's a lesson in it. And that lesson means that you got to go all the way back to how you were raised at childhood. And most likely that's where that lesson is from. Maybe somebody taught you a bad behavior, like worrying about money. So maybe somebody taught you a lesson when it comes to, abandonment. So what a better lesson to learn with unconditional love versus conditional love through an abandonment issue. So like I said, there's a lot of different things. Okay, next one. I started having out-of-body experiences a couple years ago. Every 2 or 3 weeks, I'll go out of body and a range of profound experiences. Any advice from staying grounded? It kind of depends. If the out-of-body experiences are positive for you, then I'm going to tell you, set up some parameters before that happens, meaning that if you want to find out some answers, that's the best time to ask any questions. So I would ask questions and then have a possible out-of-body experience, whether that's through meditation or sleeping. And then when you come back into your body, you're going to have those answers. So that's the best time to really ask questions, especially with spirit guides and loved ones, things like that. So, can you please clarify again, which side of the body is physically affected by creativity and which one's logic? Okay, right side is logic, left side is creativity. So if the right knee is hurting all the time, it's because you are stubborn and you fear, there's some fear in there of change. So people blow out the right knee. They're scared to change their job because they don't know if they can find another one. They're scared to leave a relationship. They're scared to do something. If your left knee, they're scared to get into the spirituality. They're scared to create something new, something different. So it depends, side of the brains. So, but right side's your like more real life stuff, and left side is more the creativity and spiritual. So, is there a shift of some sort going on that's causing joint pain? Yes and no. I mean, this energy here lately is heavy, so it very well could. I mean, but for the most part, the headaches are kind of getting most people right now, the sinus headache stuff. La, 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 la. I had a dream last night that I was standing in the middle of a huge storm, windows breaking and trees whipping around, but I was unhurt. Jennifer, that just means to tell me that you've got drama all the way around you, but it's not necessarily you. Or that drama is finding a way to your doorstep. Your job is not to allow it, and don't take it personal. So that's what I'm like. Everybody has drama in their life. I've learned I'm not going to go in and rescue people anymore. I won't. I'm going to let them get hit by the train. So, because if they get hit by the train, only then do they learn the lesson and then they can change. But if I go in and rescue them, I prevent them from learning that lesson and then they blame me for it somehow. So, I learned a long time ago, I don't do drama, and you know, if I don't want to do something, I say no. So it's pretty simple. Is it possible to visit the spiritual world via meditation or lucid dreaming or some other way? Absolutely, that's the best way to do it. So I always tell people, learn how to meditate without drugs and alcohol. So if you can meditate without, if you can learn how to meditate without doing weed, then you're already 2 steps ahead. So I know a lot of younger generation likes to do weed and try to meditate because it gets their brain to sit down and shut up, but it's a cheap method. It really is. So I want people to learn how to meditate without having to do drugs or alcohol to be able to get you in that Zen state. So, yes. Boy. So, is there a hierarchy in the spirit world? What is it? What do you learn? Yes and no. I guess you got to remember everything is quantum. It's not linear. So I'll explain kind of how things roll a little bit best I can. So what it is basically when you die, you go back to the loved ones, and then you're going to reevaluate your life. So if you in this life thought that you took a right and you wanted to see what would happen if you took a left, you can replay that when you die. So that's called a life review. So we all go through the life review. We look at the lessons. We look at how we hurt other people. And then we look at the lessons that we learned. Okay, so there's loved ones, there's spirit guides, there's angels, there's archangels, there's ascended masters, and then there's God. So if you were looking at a hierarchy, I guess that's what you would call it. But usually when you come into me, I'm going to first tap in not only to your energy, but your spirit guides, and then I'm going to tap into your loved ones. I usually don't have to talk to angels. I don't usually talk to archangels. And honestly, they vibrate so high, it sometimes hurts my ears. So I get just as much information talking to your loved ones and your spirit guides than I would anybody else. So, but I always encourage people, everybody in this world is never alone. You have loved ones, you have spirit guides, you have angels. And if you don't believe me, ask them. Ask them and they will prove it. So what I did one time with my spirit guides, I'm like, all right, spirit guides, if you're real, prove it. I want to see a purple feather. And it wasn't 2 weeks later when my daughter came up to me and gave me a purple feather and said, I found this for you, mommy. And I was like, holy crap. So, and then I asked the same thing with angels. I'm like, okay, well, if you're real, send me a sign. This is what I want. Took a little bit, but by God, I got it. So like I said, your job is just to simply ask. Ask them to prove it because they will. Your spirit guides don't get sick of you asking them questions. They understand humanness. Okay, so ask them to be around you, to protect you, to do all that. But I always remind people that they're not to be praised, I guess. Yes, you're supposed to say thank you, but ultimately, just ask God. Just go right to the source. Just be like, all right, God, I need a little help. And it's going to happen. So somehow, some way, it'll happen. Templeton, no. So, okay. Hope that. And if you guys have any issues, so I wrote a book. It's called 10 to Zen. So I think it's available on Amazon. So it's 10-minute guided meditations. So if you want to learn how to meditate, that's a really good one. Otherwise, YouTube's full of stuff, guys. So when you first start to meditate, don't go over 10 minutes because it's going to piss you off. Okay, so just sit there and be still for a little bit. Then you can work on the whole mind thing. So when you go through a spiritual awakening, your pets sense it. Hell to the yes, they do. I know my Jazz, I had to put her down here a couple months ago. She definitely knew I was different because she was right by my side the whole time and would not let me go, really. So yeah, she really did. Yeah, you guys are going to see all kinds of like orbs and weird shit. So it happens. It happens whenever I tap in. I don't always notice it. Sometimes I do. Okay, what does it mean if I hear a voice in your left ear? That means that you're very clairaudient, which is the ability to hear spirit associated with the throat chakra. So that one in particular will help to open up that clairaudient, and it feels like it's in your ear, but it's actually right here in your temple. So when I get it, when it first starts, usually it's going to be on the right side. That's why the right side of your ear usually rings first. So the low pitch is usually spirit guides, high pitch is usually angel. So left ear, sometimes you'll catch things too, but if it hits you both at once, a lot of times that's just an energy shift. And so if you follow me on Facebook, you'll know I talk about, holy crap, that was a big shift. So because it'll hit my ears and then I feel kind of a little wanky, a little sideways just for a few minutes. So okay, hopefully that answers. Do you have to talk loud to spirit or can you talk to them in your head? Great question, Kelly. So what I would tell you is both. So it depends. I always like to say it vocally out loud, so that way there's no miscommunication. But if I'm around a bunch of people, I'm not going to start talking to myself, what looks like myself. So then I'll do it in my head. But understand, spirit understands you in thought, word, and deed, okay? So they have a harder time with intent. So I always like to describe them as they're like kind of like autistic kids. You know, if you talk to them, you're like, wow, nothing gets over your head. And they're like, nothing does get over my head. So they're quite literal. So when you're talking to your spirit guides, be literal. But don't sit there and give them a long, drawn out. They already know. Just get to the damn point. They don't like a bunch of fluff. Just get to the point, black and white. This is what you need. There you go. So usually they'll respond a little bit better or faster to that because, again, they don't need to know your intent. You just need to say what you want. My husband and I found a brown feather and gray white feather the other day while letting our dog swim. Do feathers have meanings? They do. Different colored feathers mean different things. And I know I posted on a Facebook a while back. I guess maybe I'll have to go back and look at that, but they do mean something. I know the black and white ones mean change. The white, usually cup-shaped feathers that are really small, those are almost always angel feathers. And those are, you'll see those a lot when you see the 444s and the bright white flashies. Those are almost always angels. So that's how you can tell. Bells. Went to my young daughter's room, super bright flash of light, similar to a camera flash in her bedroom window. It quickly disappeared. Any idea? You know, almost always when I see loved ones, they come in about the size of a softball. And this is what I try to explain to people is that when you die, let me explain this really quick. When you die, you don't bring your humanness with you. Your body stays here. You return to a soul. So, but your soul is about the size of a softball. And so every once in a while, I'll see these softball size or baseball size orbs. That to me is a loved one kind of passing through and saying hi. But understand that when you die, you can go to this orb, right? So understand that my soul, your soul, the black guy's soul, the gay girl's soul, the Chinese lady's soul is identical. So to judge another person based on their race, religion, gender, or anything different than that, you're dead wrong. You're really dead wrong because at the end of the day, we are all identical. We all look the same. They're only going to show up as a person so I can validate who they are to you. So if they show up to you, they're going to show up as a person. However, if they're just flying by and you happen to catch them, you're going to see that orb. So yeah, hopefully that answers that one. Nicole, how can I still identify as Catholic but be true to myself? On all of this, I feel like the Catholic Church denies so much of this world, but I have had too many experiences not to believe. You know, that is your own personal truth. So I always think religion is great for like a guidebook, but spirituality is actually living it. So, you know, I agree with a good 70% of what the Bible says, but this is my own truth. That doesn't mean that it's not your truth. You have to figure out your own truth. So like I said, I don't, you know, I call it God because of the way I was brought up. But if you choose to use the word universe, light, whatever you want to use, put your own noun or verb in there because on the other side, it's all encompassing love. So like I said, I am just putting my verbiage in from the way I was raised. So your job is to figure out what your truth is and what it's not. And your truth and my truth might be different, and that's okay. So there's nothing wrong with that. But just understand at the end of the day, when you die, if you think that you're going to see St. Peter, you're going to see St. Peter. If you think that you're going to see Jesus, you're going to see Jesus. If you think you're going to see a white tunnel, you're going to see a white tunnel, because you're going to transition from this world to that world as easily and as comfortable as possible based on your own truth. So that's why to fight over race and religion is just stupid. So, and there was another one asking about, I reference God a lot. So I'll tell you, I'm Lutheran. I was raised Lutheran. So I still believe in God, but at the same time, there's other things that I don't agree with, but that's okay. That's okay. So because a lot of things are done out of fear and a fear-based response. And if you know anything about the other side and anything about spirituality, there is no fear. Fear is the opposite of love. So you have to learn how to be non-reactive to fear, ultimately. So, which isn't easy, but if you practice it, it is. So, let me see. What crystals and scents do I want in my classroom? I'll be teaching elementary children. Good question, Tracy. So I'm going to tell you what. You want things that are going to ground them, such as like patchouli, red or black rocks. So really earthy things, earthy smells. Citrus is another good one that I would tell you. So anything orange or orangey scents or citrusy is awesome too. So because again, it helps them to ground down so they stay logical. You don't want to do like frankincense or myrrh or rose, because you're gonna tap them open and you're gonna say, okay, class, and they're gonna be like, la la la. So make sure that you're doing things to open up the roots and the sacral chakras. That really helps to kind of keep them grounded. So let's see here. Do you think there are crystals that can help us speak with someone that has passed? So yes, anything blue or purple. Any blue or purple crystal that you seem drawn to or attracted to, those are going to be your best bets for helping you to open up these chakras to be able to begin communication. So, but again, in Enlightenment Academy, I teach how to tap on, tap off, how to open up your chakras at will, and then also how to communicate not only with your spirit guides, but loved ones too. So, these are good questions. Okay, so it looks like I got a little bit of a break. I'm going to drink a pop. I love that. Somebody the other day asked me if I drink, and I'm like, well, yeah, I can have a drink once in a while, but just because I have a drink of alcohol and just because I want a cheeseburger and fries doesn't make me any less spiritual than anybody else. So I always tell people I'm not going to not have fun with my life because I'm spiritual and I happen to be a teacher. I'm still not going to. So, all right. Good question. Kelly's asking, how do you know if you're ready for Enlightenment Academy? If you see replicating numbers, 1111, 333, 444, then you're ready to take Enlightenment Academy. If not, if you don't see those yet, I'm going to tell you, don't take this class because it's going to be too over your head. So, but it is an investment. Just remember that this is a weekend long class. This is not just like a 9 to 5 thing. It is all day Friday, all day Saturday, most of the day on Sunday. So it is 3 days, very intense. But like I said, you get done with a binder full of stuff this big. So it is an investment. So, but at the same time, it's definitely worth it. It really is. So, any more questions, guys? Oh my gosh, you guys are like quiet. Nobody. It's so funny. Just go to the chat bar, type something in. I love it because people are always thinking like, oh, I want to ask, but I don't want to, but I want to. So if this is your first time on the Q&A, it's pretty normal for you not to ask, and most people just want to observe. Totally fine. But if you got a question, like I said, ask. Trying to read some past ones. When you ask for signs in threes, how do you know when it's time to act on the signs you've asked for? It'll feel right. It'll absolutely feel right. There won't be any mistaking. It'll just feel right. You'll know. So specific meanings. Does Enlightenment Academy qualify for CEUs? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Both for massage therapy and nurse. So especially those two, but yes. What do I think of Reiki? love it. And I don't care if you call it Reiki, healing touch. Everybody wants to put their own little special twist on it. It's all the same damn thing, which is energy work, okay? But I will tell you, I get energy work personally done 4 times a year. It just seems like as much as I know a chakra is off, sometimes I can't freaking fix it. So sometimes we need to go to somebody to get realigned and rebalanced. So there is nothing wrong with that. The healers need healed too. So don't feel like if you're out there and, getting Reiki done, and doing this all day with other people, don't be afraid to get it done yourself. I mean, really, it's a wonderful thing. So if you've never done Reiki or healing touch or anything like that, I highly recommend it. So it's pretty awesome. There's a lot of people out there that do it, but I love it. Like I said, I get it done, like I said, about 4 times a year. That also includes my kids too. So Paige just asked me the other day if she could get it done again because she's feeling a little anxious and, wants to get ready to go for the school year. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So, is our Chinese zodiac animal one of our spirit animals? Not necessarily. No, not necessarily. The biggest thing that you want to ask about, have I heard about emotion code? Yes, I have. And I like that too. But the biggest thing is that when it comes to your animal spirit guides, to find out what they are. So you're just going to ask. And I know that sounds simple, but be like, okay, God, angel, spirit guides, whoever else knows me, need a little help. I want to know what my bird animal spirit guide is. And they will giving it to you over and over and over and over and over until you get it. So mine is a blue heron, and I saw it all over. And finally, I saw 3 in one day. I live in town in Elkhorn, Nebraska. I live in town. I saw 3 in one day. I'm like, oh, I think that might be it. Then you look up the meaning of that spirit animal, and it really resonated with me. And therefore, I'm like, okay, then that's it. So after I figured that one out, I'm like, okay, what's my insect? So that's all you guys have to do is just ask. And like I said, I think people forget to ask. But in order for them to not affect your free will, but kind of come on in, they need sometimes to be invited. So don't forget to invite them. I used to teach Reiki. I'll tell you guys, I don't anymore. Peaceful Mind Therapeutics. So Diane Rombach is really good. She teaches. I mean, there's a lot of other people out there too. But I do not have enough time in my schedule at this point to teach it. I just can't. Between Enlightenment Academy and my tour starting back up, I just don't have enough time. So, but like I said, just really Google Reiki Masters, and there's a ton of them that pop up. And I'll tell you what, and this is something that I think even unenlightened or not, if you go to somebody and you don't feel like you can vibe with them, don't sit down with them. Don't pay them. Don't just be like, you know what, I'm not feeling it. I'm going to be out. So that goes with doctors too. I have a lot of ladies that are like, but this doctor knows me. I'm going to tell you what, if you don't feel like you're getting what you need, get a second or third opinion. So please don't be so naive to think that one person knows it all. So sometimes it takes a group of people to figure out what's going on. So like I said, don't be afraid to get a second or third opinion. And if you meet somebody and you ain't vibing with them, you ain't vibing. That's fine. I've been more than happy to give people back their money because we ain't working, and I'm going to blame it on me because usually it's because I can't read them because they're guarded or whatever else. But if that's the case, we're simply not in alignment or vibrating high enough or well enough. I'm going to give them their money back. That's it. So, but don't be so weak to think that, oh gosh, I better, I'm here, so I might as well go through with it. No, if your gut's telling you to run. We have been hearing mostly and seeing things in my kids' room around trying to figure out if it's good or bad or someone we know. I'll tell you what, if it's bad, you'll know it. You'll know it. There's no mistaking. So if it's a bad spirit, it'll hit you at a soul level. It'll hit you in the gut. It'll make you nauseous. It smells bad. You're like, this ain't right. This ain't right. But if you're like, startle it, because spirit doesn't mean to scare the shit out of you, but they will startle you. So if spirit comes in, it's going to startle you, but it's not scary. So therefore, 9 times out of 10, that is one of the good guys. So it could be a loved one. It could be, it could also be a spirit guide. So like I said, trust them how it feels to you. If it doesn't feel right, then it's probably a bad spirit. And at that point, then we're going to sage or salt the home or whatever might need to be done. So, what can I do to keep my head above water? My spouse has ALS. Ugh, Leah. So what I would tell you is be willing to delegate. And I think us ladies always think that we need to do it all. And I'll tell you what, guys, I can't do it all. I can't raise 3 teenagers, clean my house, run 2 businesses, have 2 animals and a cat, and still be able to feel like I'm maintaining it. I can't. I need help. And I have no problem at this point delegating that help or asking for it. And I think that we always try to think that we have to be perfect and that we want to do everything. I'm like, don't. Like I said, let go of things that you know that you can let go of. So I would much rather spend 2 hours hanging out with my kids, even though they probably don't want to hang out with me because they're teenagers, but I would rather hang out 2 hours with my kids and pay somebody to clean my house for 2 hours, because that time is more valuable to me than money at this point. And it really is. And that's why I'm like, if you got a friend, don't be afraid to reach out to a friend and be like, I need help. So because a good friend is like, what you need, sister, what you need. I'll bring a whole damn cleaning crew, what you need. And if you don't have somebody that has your back like that, then that ain't a friend. That's an acquaintance. And they don't deserve your personal life. They deserve, like, that's coworker status. So, but like I said, understand who's a friend and who's just an acquaintance. Don't spend too much time on acquaintances, because in return, they just want something. They just want something from you. So like I said, delegate where you can, but don't feel like you have to get everything done in one day. That's okay. Can your spirit guides and angels help you with a health issue? Cassandra, they can, but ultimately, any health issues for me are always going to be related back to an emotional issue or emotional trauma that's left unhealed. You fix the emotional trauma, you fix that negative subconscious issue, you fix that, the body will then get in a place of allowance to heal itself. Because the body is a self-regulating mechanism. But if you're constantly thinking about the trauma or the reaction to that trauma, then the body is not allowed to heal. So like I said, I always tell people, if you truly want to heal yourself, you heal the trauma, you heal your past, and begin looking in your future. Sorry, I have the hiccups. Okay. I need advice for a broken relationship with my boyfriend. Is this something I should work on or leave behind? I'm going to tell you what, leave it behind. Absolutely leave it behind. If it's meant to be, it's easy. It's easy. If it's not meant to be, it's hard. It's difficult. Those are called karmic relationships. Karmic relationships are extremely frustrating, but when they're good, they're good. But when they're bad, they're terrible. So that's a karmic relationship. And if one of those breaks it off, put it off to the side, because you're not going to need a soulmate if you're still meddling with karmic crap. So if that makes any sense, I want to tell you what, let them go. And if it's meant to be, they're going to come back around a better version of themselves, and you too will be a better version of yourself. So that's what I'm like, I'm going to tell you what, let that go. Let it go. As hard as it is, I'm fully aware of how difficult that is, because when you break it off with somebody, you're grieving just like you would have lost somebody, because you had hope and expectations and dreams with that other person, and then reality hits and you get let down. So I always tell people, learn how not to have expectation. So that's difficult, but I have dreams, I have goals, I have ambitions and ways to get there, but I don't have hope or expectation on how. So that's up to my spirit guides. Their job is to guide me. My job is to know what the hell it is that I want and envision what it's like to have it. That's it. Simple. Everything spiritually speaking, simple. Keep everything simple. You make it complex, it's going to get worse. Simplicity is bliss. That's why when you first start to go through a spiritual awakening, the first thing you want to do is clean your house. You want to purge everything. Well, that's the reason. Simplicity. So somebody's asking, how can we request a private session with you? Go to Psychic Kelly, so it's psychickelly with an I.com, and then you can click on book a reading, and then all the info's in there. How do you tell your one true twin flame from false twins or soulmates? I'm going to tell you what, twin flame, rare bird. Really rare bird. Most likely it's a soulmate. So most people out there have soulmate relationships, but at the same time, soulmates can depart too. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's I'm like, if the relationship's meant to be, it's going to be great. And you guys are both willing to work through it. But if one party chooses not to be on that path anymore, well, then clearly the relationship's said and done. But trying to get this person back on the path and they keep doing this isn't that's not going to get you anywhere. So, like I said, you'll know it because it's right. You'll just know. And every relationship has its difficult moments. Of course, every relationship does. But your job is to learn and grow from the mistakes you're making and the mistakes you've made, not to react the same way in the relationship that you're in now. So hopefully that makes sense with that one. Crows are a spirit animal for me. I've been told they have a negative symbolism. I don't think they're negative at all. So whenever I see crows, that means change, massive transformation. That's what it means for me. So I said, crows are always major transformation or big change for me. So I don't think that's big. So that means to tell me if you think that's your spirit animal, then most likely you really like change or adventure, or vice versa. You really hate change and you need to relinquish control so you can start learning how to change a little bit easier. So what's up with the difference in roles in regards to spirit guides and ancestors? Are there times they do not agree with each other? They always agree with each other. They always do. Everybody over here is on the same page. Now they have different roles, but they're still on the same page, which is for your highest good. So that's why I'm going 9 times out of 10. They're all in alignment or in agreement. Angel's job is to protect, spirit guides guide. So if you're in a car accident, your spirit guide's like, oh crap, she's going to get hit with something. Angels come on by. This is my cat. So now my cat's supposed to say hi. Hi. Let's say hi, buddy. My kitty. So that's my kitty, Leo. So every psychic needs a black cat. He's just going to like mosey right on through. So don't mind my cat. So kitty, nobody wants to see your butt, dude. Hey, can you like move it, please? No, whatever. All right. Are there good stones or crystals for fertility? I'm going to tell you what, best ones are going to be anything orange. Smelling oranges, wearing orange. That's also known as the water chakra. So bathing, listening to waterfall, anything with that. And then the best crystals are going to be carnelian. Sunstone's pretty good. And then I would say, what's another one? Like, and jaspers are usually pretty good for that too. Black cats are the best, I do. So, is it normal to feel like a black sheep while going through an awakening with friends? Yep, absolutely. Welcome to my world. So, absolutely, yes. And it's frustrating because you're starting to climb a mountain and the people that are unenlightened are still in the valley, and you just want to be like, come look at things from my perspective. It's so good, but they can't. And so just give them time. And your job is to shine as bright as you possibly can. So the higher you vibe, the higher you shine, the more that the possibility of them possibly getting tripped on into a spiritual awakening can happen. So that's usually the best ones. Shelly, best ones for childbirth. I'll tell you, kunzite is really good. And rose quartz is really good too. So kunzite and rose quartz are two of the best ones for childbirth. My husband goes to bed and often wakes with a red line down the middle of his eyes. Is this his third eye, and what does that mean? That means that he probably is getting ready to go through an awakening, or needs to work on his third eye chakra, or it's starting to open. So it usually has something to do with that. I would agree with that. So, yep. These are good questions. My cat is like spazzing out behind the camera. I know you can't see him, but he's all like rolling around like he's on catnip. I don't know. He's weird. All right. Can you have marks or scars on your body from a previous life? You know what? Yes. And this is just my own personal opinion. I think that somebody has a birth, if somebody comes with a mark, that most likely was a traumatic injury and or possible death from a previous life. So if somebody comes in and they have like this big birthmark right here, very well, they could have died due to something that would have hit their lung or gone through their body. So I really do think birthmarks are a past life trauma. What I find fascinating is that Eric, back over here, my husband, he has this spot on the top of his butt, and his daughter has got this same spot on the opposite side on her butt. I was like, so I don't know what that means. I'm still trying to figure that one out. So I think it's pretty cool. Okay, what do Himalayan salt lamps help with? Okay, good question. So what Himalayan salt lamps do is they release a bunch of negative ions. So negative ions are the ions that are really thick around lakes, rivers, streams, and right when thunderstorms come in. When thunderstorms come in and that smell of rain is chock full of negative ions, which helps us to relax. So that's why salt lamps are really popular, and they really do work. They put out a bunch of negative ions that helps to relax and calm and balance the room and people that are in the room. So, yep, I love them. And everybody always wants to know, well, how do you know if it's real or fake? You lick it. Believe it or not, a salt lamp is salty, so you lick it. But I'll tell you what, in times like now when it's really humid outside, yes, Kitty, hi. When it's really humid outside, you want to make sure to keep your salt lamp on all the time. Otherwise, it is salt. It's going to collect moisture. So make sure that you keep your salt lamp on, especially now when it's really humid out. When moving into a new place, is there anything besides saging that I need to do to make the transition better for all? Sage is the easiest way to go. And if you don't like to smell sage, use Palo Santo. You don't like Palo, we're going to do some sweetgrass. Don't like that, use some incense. There's lots of different ways. So, but those are always really good ones. So, thanks for hosting the free readings workshop a couple weeks ago. Woo! I'm going to do that again. So my students with Enlightenment Academy have went through the academy, and they had been talking to me, and they said, you know, we want to be able to practice on people, but we don't know enough people to practice on. I'm like, I got an idea. So once every 2 to 3 months, what I do is I open up the classroom upstairs for my students, and then it's literally just free readings. And what in return for even energy exchange, you leave them an evaluation. So it's like 3 15-minute readings for free, and then you just fill out an eval form. So I'll be doing that again. So that went really well, and my students really enjoyed it because they finally felt like, you know, they could do it. And sometimes you need to be pushed, you know, to do things. So I really had to kind of push a few of them, but I'm really proud of them. They did great. So they were actually reading people. They were also doing energy work on people too. So it was whatever they felt comfortable with. Come on, dude. Like, can you use LED bulbs and salt lamps? Yeah, you can. Yeah, you sure can. Both my wrists have an area where there's no hair, like they were bounded by rope. Jennifer, that is quite possible. So like that, we were talking about that earlier with the past life trauma coming in this life. That's actually quite possible. Can you carry fears from traumatic events from previous life? Yes, you can. So this is why kids out of nowhere are freaking out about motorcycles, or freaking out over having to swim, or freaking out over a fire. So most likely they had died in a previous life due that way. That also goes with childbirth. I do have ladies that are scared to death to give bear children, and it's because they died in a previous life giving birth. So, but yeah, they really can carry on those traumas into this life. So as scary as that might be, but it's true, it does happen. I'm going to tell you, if you want to know more about your previous lives, do a past life regressional hypnotherapy session. Because here's the deal, I could tell you anything. Any psychic could do this. Any psychic could sit there and say, oh, well, I saw you in Germany and I saw you here, and you would believe it because there's no evidence to back it up. So that's why I don't sit there and tell you about your previous lives, because there's no evidence. The same goes with spirit guides. I could make up any name for a spirit guide and you would believe me. It's your job to figure out your connection with your spirit guide. That's your job. So like I said, those are things that I don't do, because again, I can make anything up and you believe me. There's no evidence in that. And that's not how I run my business, and that's not how I teach my students. So it's like I said, and the other thing I won't tell you is when you're going to die, because if you ask me that, I will tell you tomorrow. That is my standard response, tomorrow. And people freak out, and I'm going, you know what? Here's the deal. You should be living life every day like you're going to be dying tomorrow anyway. And if you're scared, then that means to tell me that you got a lot of work to do on you. Because remember, your job is to work on you while you're here. So yes, it's my job to raise my children, but they're independent enough that I have to be okay with being able to die tomorrow, knowing that they're going to be okay too. So that's a scary concept. But at the same time, I'm okay if I go tomorrow. I'd be all right. So, does somebody have to be there with you to read their tarot cards? Absolutely not. I read people all over the world, literally all over the world. So, and I can do it via FaceTime, Snap, or I can do it FaceTime, Skype. I can do it on the phone. I do it in person. So, no, I've even talked to a guy in Japan on a submarine. Okay. So literally, I can read anybody anywhere. It's just a matter of one, getting their permission, and two, honing in on their energy. That's it. Energy travels. It's not like it's like has to be right here. That's not the case. So, empaths with negative and positive energy, tips how to shake it off. Okay, empaths. Ooh. So, and I'll be teaching an empathy workshop here too coming up. But basically what I want empaths to understand is that number one, they don't have to rescue and save everybody. Number two, you learn how to protect your energy. You do that by saying things, God, angels, please surround me with the white light of the Holy Spirit. And imagine yourself in a white bubble. That bubble will act as a buffer between your energy and theirs. So it protects you and your energy. So happy people can come in your bubble. Negative bitchy ones, they're out. So salt bath, not Epsom salt. Epsom salt is good for sore muscles. Sea salt is really good for cleansing auric fields, recharging my empath's batteries, and all in all, just rebalancing, recentering, cleansing, okay? So that's also the same, that sea salt or pink Himalayan salt is also what we use to salt the outside of our home too. So salt baths work great too. And then, sorry, I thought I turned off the phone. And then the other thing is just learning how to say no. And my empaths have a really difficult time just saying, no, I don't want to. They always go, well, you know, I have something else going on. And I'm like, just say no. No, thank you. I don't want to go. That's it. No is a complete sentence. You do not have to explain yourself to anybody what you choose to do with your life or how you choose to spend your time. So if, you know, and if my friends, we all understand this. If I say, no, I don't want to, I don't go. They don't get pissed off because I say no. And if they get pissed off, well, then they're not a good friend. So like I said, learn how to say no and be okay with that. So that's really difficult to do because my empaths don't want to hurt anybody's feelings because they feel that negative emotion back right away. So I'm going to do one more question before I have to go. I'm gonna go back up. Nobody's giving me a question. Crows, we talked about that one. That one. You know what, Casey, we'll do that one. That's a really good question. Okay, last question. So, because then I can have to wrap up. Do you get a better feeling or energy from people when you shake their hand? Absolutely, and I'll tell you why. So, personally, I don't like people that hug me. And the reason why is because inadvertently, what happens when you touch another person, you form what's called an etherical cord attachment. So the minute I shake your hand, which is what I'm going to do when you come in for reading, I'm going to shake your hand because two reasons. One, I attach a cord for me to use, so I've got you read. And then number two, it gives me permission. It gives me permission to read you. So because I don't want to read people without their permission, that's just freaking creepy and wrong. I'm sorry, that ain't right in any world. That ain't right for me. So, so a lot of times when I shake your hand, I'm attaching that cord. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that you cut those cords. And so what I do is I'll take a salt bath, and then while I'm taking a salt bath, I'll do something like this. And when we attach cords, we attach them at our solar plexus. So I will then cut any cords that may bind me to anyone else. You can also do this with a piece of selenite. So you take a stick of selenite and you just go up and you go back behind you, cords are cut. And you'll actually feel your stomach kind of wiggle a little. So that is actually that etherical cord getting cut. And don't be afraid to cut cords from everybody. I'll tell you what, the minute I cut a cord and I'm in the damn bathtub, guess what happens? I got one kid that'll come up to me, knocking on the door. Hey, Mom. And the minute they do that, that goes that cord. So whenever you detach a cord from another person that's been there for a long time, it's going to take a few times to cut that cord because it forms like really a thick cord. That's why a mother's bond to their children is very, very thick. They have a thick cord, and those just don't go away. That's why when a soulmate dies and you married him for 50 years and your soulmate passes away, that cord is very thick. You are quite literally burying half of you at that point. So, like I said, that's a big deal. It really, really is. I don't think people understand that. Same with burying a child. You're burying that huge etherical cord, and that's detached from you. That's hard. So like I said, good old piece of selenite. Again, we sell that at Awakening. So it's at awakeningsstore.com. And then I'll put up here that link for Enlightenment Academy too. So if you guys are interested in that, I will be doing a live audience reading here coming up in Minneapolis. So if you know of anybody in Minneapolis, I'll be up there doing a live audience reading. And then I think my next one, I don't know when my next one is. I don't know my schedule. So I just know what I'm doing in August, and that's crazy enough. So, but like I said, if you guys have any other questions, go ahead and write them down for next time. I'll be doing this again later on in the month. I think in like 2 weeks, I think I'll be doing another one. So if you guys have any questions, be sure to write those down, and then I'll be sure to answer those too. So I just want to thank everybody for watching again. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'll try to do these more often, along with some more free more like live webinars. So that way you guys can get to learning. Like I said, it's not really about competition or any of that stuff anymore. It really is about getting more people enlightened to help everybody else along the way. So maybe we'll drown out some of that noise from all the mass shooting stuff, right? So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. You take care and God bless. Bye now. Bye.